just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
It might only be May, but I am crazy enough to declare who I think is going to win the Heisman Trophy this upcoming season. And that pick for me is Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama. And I know you might be thinking, how the heck am I picking a guy who transferred schools and is stepping into a new situation? A guy who didn't even go over 1,000 yards rushing last year. How can I so definitively say he is going to win the Heisman? Let's take a look at all of the variables that come into play for a player that is this talented. At Georgia Tech, this team is under a new regime. They're no longer the option team that we're used to them being, and they have been really struggling to make that transition to a normal offense. The new coaching staff also had no idea how to use Jahmyr Gibbs, despite him having numerous, massive, explosive plays in a handful of games. I point to his misuse to the fact that against Pitt, I believe, he had negative 10 rushing yards. He still found ways to find open lanes as a receiver, as a kick returner. But when you watch Gibbs play, you see a guy that has an instant acceleration to get to that next gear. He is going to be a low 4.3 guy. Possibility he could be even faster. But what is so scary outside of the acceleration is the wiggle that he has as a running back. Gibbs is somebody who is not easy to tackle, and it's not because he's powerful and he's a big explosive back. It's because he's shifty. He's elusive. He is hard to wrangle because he is constantly moving and constantly trying to wriggle his way out of opposing defenders. He additionally, based off of what we saw him do in the kick return game with multiple long returns and touchdowns throughout his career so far, he almost has this approach to running the football like you get from a kick returner, but on normal receiving plays or normal rushing plays. If you flip on the tape, you watch some highlights of this kid, you can easily see that he has tremendous athleticism, explosiveness that does not belong at Georgia Tech of all schools. So now Gibbs makes the smartest possible decision that he can, which is leaving a negative situation that is not using him to the best of his abilities, not having him on the field as much as he should have been, not getting him as many schemed touches as he should have been getting. And now here he is joining a team that has propped up so many running backs and created multiple Heisman winning running backs that were lesser athletes than Jahmyr Gibbs. Heck, this past season, Brian Robinson Jr. did well enough behind a very talented Alabama offensive line that he was able to be a decently highly drafted prospect this past year. And Brian Robinson Jr., decent football player, is nowhere as talented as Jahmyr Gibbs. So you plop in Jahmyr Gibbs, who is a multi-dimensional weapon for an offense, as a receiver, as a running back. You put him on a team that has the previous Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young. He's now getting passes thrown his way by Bryce Young. He's getting handoffs from Bryce Young. He's also getting what has always been consistently an elite offensive line for Alabama. Their main notable player that they lost last year was Evan Neal, who was a very highly drafted player this past draft. But separate from that, they're returning multiple important starters on that offensive line. While I'm not saying that Bryce Young can't win the Heisman, but honestly, I see Bryce Young as Jahmyr Gibbs' only major competition. And after what we got from Young last year, knowing how SEC defensive coordinators are smart enough to spend the offseason preparing for a guy like that, they're going to put a lot of attention on the passing game, trying to slow down Bryce Young. That is going to open things up for Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity for him. If Jahmyr Gibbs had gone to another program, I might not be having the same conversation. I'd still be saying that he's the best and most talented running back, 1A, 1B with Bijan Robinson from Texas, but I don't think I'd be pushing so hard to say that he could very well be a Heisman Trophy winner. He has what it takes. He has the athleticism. He has the explosiveness. He has the ability to take any touch that he gets and take it to the house. Something that, while Alabama running backs have been good, we have not seen this level of one-hit home run play from a running back for Alabama in some time. So pay attention to Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going to have a huge year this upcoming season for Alabama.